Hey everyone, welcome to the Pregame Show Rewind right here on the Pregame Show Network. I am Tolly Carr. I hope everyone made it safely and happily through Thanksgiving as we get ready for more of the holiday season. Well, the regular season has come to an end in college football. There will be no postseason for Colorado, but there is plenty to rewind and look back on, including the game week leading up to the game against Utah, as well as the year number one for Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. But first, let's get to the real business at hand. Uncle Neely joins us now from Boulder, Colorado. He promised us the deets on the inside eats on Thanksgiving with the football program. Neely don't miss no meal is one thing that we say all the time. That comes from Coach Prime himself. But your first Thanksgiving at Colorado, let's rewind the palette, Neely. How did it all go down, man?
Hey, man, it went down. I love that deets on the eats, baby. That's a good one there, Tolly Carr. So let me tell you, we spent a couple of days before Thanksgiving as well as Thanksgiving morning with Chef Carl Solomon documenting all that it was going to take to feed the football team, any of their family that was in town, the coaching staff, their families, any special guests. You know, probably about 300 people had Thanksgiving dinner with Coach Prime. And, man, the spread was everything from the traditional smoked turkey to ham, mac and cheese, yams, fried chicken, but also had some snow crab, man, some shrimp, like it was all over the place for Thanksgiving here. And we got this two-part segment that's dropping on the pregame show because, hey, Neely loves food, so I couldn't figure out what to edit out, Tolly. So it's a 40-minute video that we're dropping in two parts to show you behind the scenes Thanksgiving dinner here in Boulder, Colorado. Man, had a great time, felt like being home.
Well, look, we're looking forward to that content, man. Tell me, how many – to what extent did they go to make the players and the families feel like it was Thanksgiving, that home feeling, if you will, even though they had a road game that week?
That was the whole purpose right there, Tolly, was to understand that being here in Boulder, Colorado, most of the team is from a long way from being home. A lot of those guys are from the South, so I tried to have a little Southern flair, you know, with the honey glazed ham and the fried chicken and the mac and cheese and the yams, but just providing an atmosphere for the players and their families who were here and friends who were here to get together because, you know, that next day you were hitting the road, going to that final road game. So it was important for Coach Prime to take some time out, man, celebrate Thanksgiving. Did have practice that morning, though. Practice Thanksgiving morning, then took a break, and that afternoon, early evening, got back together for that Thanksgiving dinner so people could, you know, kind of feel like they were home, man, and understand the family atmosphere this year.
All right, just give us a little bit of a tease. Was there any funny business with the mac and cheese?
Man, the mac and cheese was par excellence. Like, I probably filmed the making of the mac and cheese more than I filmed anything. Because I was just blown away at the amount of cheese and butter going in it. Like, it wasn't no raisins, wasn't no marshmallows, No, this was down home, Mississippi, Georgia, North Carolina mac and cheese. You would have loved it, Tyler. I started to send you some.
I would have taken that, man. I would have taken that for sure.
I like how you called it funny business. I know what you meant. You thought they were gonna put raisins in it. I know you, Tyler.
Hey, look, man. You know where we're from the Fred Sanford generation. Like, hey, man, I don't want any of that funny business with my mac and cheese, man. A little different meaning there, obviously, but you get the vibes.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little football, man. The regular season ended. Let's take a look back on the week. At what point did everyone know that Ryan Staub was going to get the start and he was going to play the game against Utah to finish out the regular season in place of Shedeur Sanders?
Well, it depends on how you cut it and measure it. Each week, QB2, prepares as if he's going to play. And so those early mechanics are the same no matter what. So Sunday, there's a bug dropped in his ear that, hey, this may be the week that you start the whole game. But nothing really changed Monday and Tuesday because Shedeur Sanders typically sits out one or two of those days anyway on a week-to-week basis. Same thing with Travis Hunter. The amount of plays that they play, they're not out there practicing on Sunday after the game or that first Tuesday practice. So everything was normal the first part of the week. But I think you saw Shedeur still sitting on Wednesday that it became clear, internally clear, without it being announced that, okay, well, Staub is probably going to be the guy, this week. Interestingly enough, Travis did not practice the whole week at all either, and was really, truly a game time decision. And he walked in Coach Prime's office like, hey, I want to play. And he played. But as far as the QB1 goes, it was whispering Sunday, but pretty much a fact around Wednesday that Shedeur would not be playing in that final game.
Man, I thought I missed it because, my situation, driving back home to Atlanta on Saturday, I tried to get my children and wife, like, let's leave at 9 a.m. because I wanted to get home by 3-ish, to see the game. 9 turned into 12 because that's how families of 5 go, right? So I realized, all right, I'm not going to be able to see the game. I'm not going to try to watch it in the car while I'm doing all the driving, but I will listen. So I had a chance to listen to the radio broadcast for the first time this year. And at first I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to listen. Like, Shedur's not playing, because I found out, when the radio broadcast came on. But hey, 5 hours of Interstate 20, there was nothing else to do. And I'm glad I did. It was actually as entertaining of a game as it is every week. How would you rate how Ryan Staub did there in a backup role as the starter?
I think he did wonderful, man. I think he's exactly what you want your QB2 to do. College football now with the portal, quote unquote, free agency, much like the NFL, there's going to always be a drop off between 1 and 2. Anyone who could be a 1 somewhere is going somewhere to be a 1. And so you're always going to have that drop off. So Ryan Staub, it doesn't have the experience that a Deion Sanders has. But when you look at Ryan across the summer, fall camp, week-to-week preparation with the scout team, who's playing defense 1, if you will, he has a command of the offense. He just needed an opportunity. And when you look at what happened with previous games, he was able to get in. I think there was a little nervousness, a little uncertainty, but having a week of direct instruction from Pat Shurmur, a week to prepare, he looked just fine out there. I think what's going to be interesting is that, again, much like NFL free agency, Ryan Staub's phone is going to be ringing in these next couple of weeks because I think he showed America he can be a QB1 somewhere. And as Coach Prime said in the postgame presser, he doesn't know a guy that doesn't want to be the 1. So we'll see if he wants to stay here as 2 or transfer out. But he showed the football world in America that he can play football.
All right, good segue there, Neely. Let's hear now from Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. He talked to the media after the loss on the road at Utah.
You try to grasp onto anything positive that you can. And the way they fought, and you look at certain positions, you go segment by segment and see what you have in the kennel. And trust me, we're in the process of, this is Coach Ray, this is his time, this is his moment, this is where he excels. This is where the scout department, Corey, this is where they start doing their thing. We already know what's going to come probably in the next few days to a week and a half. We already know what's going to transpire. You guys you're going to be pleased with what's coming. I promise you that. But everything you see that we have a lack thereof, a deficit, we're going to feel that need.
All right, that's Coach Sanders there. Neely, the game, just listening to it, it felt like, with the exception of, Oregon and I guess Washington State, right? The two, just ugly losses.
Sure.
This was a game that I'm sitting there driving, listening, I think they're going to win. I believe they're going to win. They got it in the bag. And you get right to the very end, and, Utah's able to just run out the clock, and you're like, well, almost. I kind of feel like, from game 4 on, that was kind of the reoccurring theme. I think so. Yeah, man. Almost.
Nailed it. That game was in control. Even when we were down on the points, you were in it. There was just an energy on the sideline that you knew you could beat this team. They were on one of their backup quarterbacks as well. And Utah is a built-to-run team. That's the persona of their coaching staff over there. So you knew they were going to be heavy run regardless of the quarterback. So it's up to us to stop that run. And it's up to us to give our QB2, who is playing this one, a chance. Never out of the game. I'm never one, man, to quote unquote blame officials for outcome of the game, because I do believe over the course of a game or the course of the season, the bad calls or missed calls tend to level out. Having said that, that didn't happen in this particular game against Utah. Man, the calls or the lack thereof sometimes was just questionable to horrible. I do believe that catch in the end zone, Travis Hunter, was a catch. And I also didn't see in any footage, I'm standing on the sideline watching with my naked eye, I didn't see any footage where he stepped out of bounds. So, you had 2 scores, 14 points off the board by one player, and just questionable officiating. I'll tell you this. In as much as you could say to me, well, they reviewed it and the catch in the end zone, he kind of bobbled at the end, blah, 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 cool. My challenge to the officials with the one where he allegedly stepped out of bounds, such a dynamic, game-changing play, you have to let the play out and then review it. To blow the whistle in the middle of the play, it negates your ability to review it. And I just thought that was horrible game management from an officiating standpoint to stop a play midstream instead of letting it continue and then say, hey, maybe I didn't see what I thought I saw. Maybe he didn't step out. But it erased another 7 points, man. That's 14 off the board. I don't know, Tolly, bad calls to me.
Well, like I said, I listened to the radio broadcast for the first time this season. Play-by-play guy, excellent pipes. I mean, I'd put his pipes up against anybody, man. Enjoyed that broadcast. I would feel very confident in remembering their words to feel like they weren't fans of Pac-12 officials even before this game.
Solid. I got to tell you, I hate to beat up on my home because I'm SWAC through and through. But when I got out here to Boulder, I said there's no way the week-to-week officiating could be worse than the SWAC officials. And the guys I met out here, they're like, no, Neely, I'm telling you, man, Pac-12 is the worst you're ever going to see. And for the first 3 weeks, I fought it. We got to mid and the end of the season, I said, y'all right, Pac-12 officiating, may it rest in peace now, is definitely worse than SWAC officiating.
And look, that's no swipe at the SWAC at all. If you follow SWAC football closely, you know the officials. They keep it spicy all the time. There's always something going on about.
If SWAC officials keep it spicy, then Pac-12 officials keep it Nashville hot.
Man. Well, Neely, there's a lot to look back on. Has it even been 365 days? I feel like the Coach Prime flew out to Colorado after the SWAC championship game last year, and the SWAC championship game this year is this Saturday. So in less than 365 days, we can't rewind the whole season, man. But I'd be curious to know, how did you think it was going to go, and how did it go for you?
Well, I will tell you, from a scoreboard dynamic, from a record dynamic, I went into August camp having seen what we had this spring. They're the thumbs. I went into August camp firmly believing that this team was not only capable of winning 6 games, that we would win 6 games. We lost that Stanford game, which is one of the ones I had us winning, and we lost that Arizona game, which is one of the ones I had us winning. So if we pulled out those 2, one of them we were up 29-0 at halftime. If we pull out those 2, the team landed exactly where we thought they would. Having said that, I'm going to put aside Coach Prime's standards for a second because, he's playing every week to win, and he has an incredibly high benchmark for anything he participates in. I understood that inheriting a 1-11 program, and it's not just a football team, that's a 1-11 organization. That's behind back of shop, if you will, operations things as well. I understood the challenges with that, man. And to have a 400% increase in wins, it's phenomenal. So there's nothing to hang your head about, nothing to kick the can down the road about. You were able to add to the win column. And get this, Tolly. Here's a fun fact for the listeners out there. There are about 6 teams in the Power 5 that fired their head coaches last year, so had new coaches this year. For the most part, they added to the win by 1 or stayed the same. There's only one team in America in the Power 5 or Group of 5 that fired their coach, had a new coach, and increased their win total by 3 or more, and that's Deion Sanders in Colorado. And so when you step back and look at it from that standpoint, the increase in wins, now moving to a new conference, this program is clearly heading in the right direction. But, man, there were so many woulda, coulda, shouldas this year that it just leaves that, we could be we could be 8-4, we could be 6-6 kind of vibe in you. But you have to understand, man, 4 wins is major for a first-time coach taking over a 1-11 program. First time coaching at this school.
Well, I think 2 things can be true at once in certain situations, and I think this is one of those situations. You got about 3 groups of people. You got the left, the right, and the middle. I'm not talking, politics. I think you can divide most things in life into that. Sure. You got people over here that just don't like Deion Sanders for whatever reason, and they don't want to see him do well. All right, you got people over here that just love him, and everything Coach Prime does is great. And then you got people in the middle that are like, can view things, pragmatically. And I think, some people are like, Coach Prime failed. Okay, you got those people. And you got the people that just love what he's doing. And look, he gives them plenty of evidence and reasons to express that love. But I think you can look at this season and say, hey, it was a 400% increase in wins. The exposure, the excitement, Colorado was forgotten about. And that thing has been revived from that. Just by the amount of, shows they wanted to broadcast from there. You and I and the people that have now learned, if they didn't already know, Coach Prime's magnetism when it comes to celebrities and people and things that can bring more eyeballs to your product. But I think you can also say you're disappointed after that 3-0 start because you're like, hey, man, this thing is legit. It is the real thing. And disappointment comes from expectations, right? If you didn't expect anything, you didn't get anything, you're not disappointed. So I think it's safe to say whatever you feel, you're right. And it's just one of those weird situations.
Yeah, except for if you're hating.
Well,
it's never
that is what it is.
Man, you're spot on about the expectations. And that's one of the things that Coach Prime brings to the table. The way he carries himself, the way he speaks, the history of his work product. He makes you believe, or he makes you sit back and wait for him to fail. And when you go out, TCU, been in the national championship game, Nebraska, Colorado State, your historic rival and your in-state rival, and you get those and you got 3 wins, then you lose a game and win a game. Man, the arrow is absolutely pointing up. But here's one of the things I also want to point out, Tommy. If you look at the games that we lost where we coulda, shoulda, woulda won, you're losing by a score or less in some situations. You were up in some situations. Those same games against the same opponents last year were 30-point games. They were 28-0 in the first quarter games. And so you take out, again, that Oregon and Washington State, those 2 losses, now you're looking at 10. You get 4. Those other 6, man, you were beyond competitive in those games. So, yes, on the record, wins and losses, 400% increase. But you lost some games you should have won. You look at what's happening in the media, what's happening in earned media with College Game Day and Big Noon Kickoff and even the Rewind. You just cannot tabulate the impact that's been on this season. So regardless of the outcomes on the scoreboard, you absolutely won this year. Absolutely, you won.
Well, I think if this was a stock, right? This is a stock that people would line up to buy because you see what the ceiling can be and you see the trajectory. I love saying that word in real time because my brain is like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. You see the trajectory of the program. And I don't think this is a stock that people with common sense would sell. Like, you can see where things are headed here. One place.
Bye.
All day long. One place that it could very well be headed, the transfer portal is now open. Season is over, and people are starting to talk. One thing I did learn, Neely, and we could put, rewind back on new information. I was listening to the radio broadcast, and I'm not going to say this wasn't on the Pregame Show Network already. But it just caught my ears for the first time. Coach Prime was talking during his pregame interview, and he was like, hey, I held back 7 to 10 scholarships. We didn't give them all out because I didn't think there was enough talent out there from what we were able to quickly gather, once he got there, to give out all the scholarships. So there is some in the kitty, which, always, in any area of life, having something in the kitty is always a good thing.
Hey, let me tell you this, brother. I got 4 kids. It ain't nothing like having something in the kitty. Y'all can bank on that. But in the sense that you were speaking of, You're
And I don't
exactly
know
right,
which way
Tommy.
you meant that.
You're exactly right, Solly. One, it has been on the Pregame Show Network back this spring. I'm going to give you a pass because that's 9 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Prime walked in his door saying, I am not using all of my scholarships. I'm going to treat this like the NFL salary cap. I'm going to leave room in the budget to make some signs, to add to this team. I'm not using everything this season. So you get to this season, end of the season, and you're sitting there with some 7 to 10 scholarships that are still available on this roster, not to mention when people transfer out. Because stop right there. Here's what's going to happen, Tolly, before people start to transfer in. You're going to get these graphic design Instagram posts with a player catching the ball or running the ball, and that long statement to the side that you kind of zoom in to read, where he says, talk to my family, and after consideration, I want to thank Coach Prime and all the coaches of Colorado, but I'm entering the portal with 2 seasons or 1 season left. You're going to have people getting the hell up out of here at the same time people are heading here. But guess what's going to get the story first? Oh, someone else is leaving Coach Prime. Somebody else decommitted. Well, you have to look at a couple things with those players when they choose to do that, and God bless their choices. What was their impact on this current team? And do they know what's coming in that's going to be in front of them that they're going to have to compete with, that they're moving on to, quote unquote, a pasture that they can compete in? So let me tell you, been talking to Corey Phillips, Director of Player Personnel, Head of Recruiting. Ain't no worries when that portal opens. We got some stuff that's coming here, but yes, there will be an exodus as well. But you just watch the exodus gets more news in the early days than the arrivals.
You forgot the most important part. Please respect my decision, period.
you got to close that. I think across college football, Tolly Carr, that there are some guys who transfer or hit the portal just so they can put that graphic up.
And I wish they would take my visual advice. Don't use size 10 font. Like, people can't read all that stuff, man. You got, use the majority of what you got to say in the description. Keep your graphic clean and simple, man. That's just my 2 cents on a visual. But Neely, it is. This is how college football operates. Like, for all the people who are like, hey man, Coach Prime, you should just, in essence, be quiet, be humble. Look, guys, this is personality. Ask Texas A&M. They had a coach they were ready to hire. The booster said, we don't like him. He ain't popular enough. He ain't popping enough. Get him out of here. And what did the school say? Okay.
and shout out to Texas A&M for leaking that so they could gauge the pulse of the fan base.
I mean, this is a personality business as much as it is an X's and O's business. And not every personality is going to fit. Not every Jimmy and Joe is going to fit into your system. And if you don't understand at this point the transactional nature, especially with NILs, of college football, then look, man, this ain't the 50s anymore. This ain't 3 yards in a cloud of dust. This is an entirely different ball game. And you're going to experience all of that. And it's going to be amplified for between now and the time they start practicing again in the spring.
Oh, absolutely. You're looking at about a 60 to 90-day window, man, from December to March, where you're really back into spring football and in that weight room and out on the field some and that kind of thing. So what's going to be the hot topic is who decommitted from where, who's transferring from where, who's transferring in to where. But I'm telling you, man, it's one of those things about Coach Prime and that personality. People love to talk about what he's seemingly losing. Just this week, right after coming back from Utah, Coach Tim Brewster, tight end coach, announced he was resigning, and the world was like, "Oh, see, he knows what's going on. He's getting the hell out of there. He don't want to be there no more." When people make personal, professional choices, people want to get closer back to home. People have commitments that they just want to do something for a year to support something. When you get into that human resource side of things and people resign or move on or are asked to move on, it is just as much a part of college football. What do we call it? Black Monday when the season ends and all the coaches changes start happening. here's what you and I witnessed, Tolly Carr, with Coach Prime in Jackson State. 2 back-to-back undefeated in-conference seasons. In both of those seasons, he made coaches changes. You don't believe he's going to make some player and coaches changes after going 4 wins? He did it with 10 wins. You know he's going to do it with 4.
And that's just the game. And I don't care what business you're in. People are going to find better opportunities, or they're going to want something different. That's how life works. Hello?
Hey, man, once upon a time, we as a people, being African Americans, our people marched and picketed and did everything we could just to get choice, just to get access to choice, just to be able to go to a school that we wanted to live in the neighborhood, to bank, to shop, whatever, where you wanted to. Everything is about choice, man. And people have choices, whether it's players that want to transfer or coaches that want to take another opportunity somewhere, or boards of regents and athletic directors that strongly suggest a coach take another opportunity somewhere by firing. It happens every season in college football once the season starts ending. So you got now this week going to be a lot of changes. After those conference championships, between the bowl games, going to be a lot of changes.
Absolutely, it will be. All right, Neely, whenever I want to know news, and if I want to know if it's the real thing or not, I just ask you. Is Warren Sapp coming to Colorado? I've seen it out there.
You know, Warren Sapp very much wants to be here. Coach Prime very much values Warren Sapp's what he brings to the table, his teaching, his personality. I think when everything is lined up, there is a great chance, a great chance that Warren Sapp will be here. I do not know in what capacity, what level of staffing, whether it's an analyst role or what have you, but text with Warren Sapp on Thanksgiving, man. We become text buddies now. And, of course, he's looking forward to that opportunity in 2024. So I would not be surprised about Warren Sapp coming here in some capacity. And surely it's going to be on the defense or defensive line oriented, but don't know the capacity of it because there's so many titles and nuances now in college football as far as who's coaching, who's analyzing, who wears a headset and that kind of thing. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity for that brother to contribute, and he wants to do it. You know, he wants to do less. What's he got to catching? Anacondas and boa constrictors in the swamps, He wants to do less of that and more coaching now. Hats off to him, man.
I think, however that works out, I think it speaks to the attraction of Coach Prime. He had not made the moves before to be a coach. I'm not saying T.O. is a coach because he is not, but you see players who come and want to give whatever they are allowed to give to the program. That, not to say they haven't done it in other places, but it seems like the magnetism of Coach Prime and what those players believe that he is doing, they just want to just touch it, and that hasn't always been the case in their lives before that.
And I think that's what happened with Warren Sapp. I think with his visits here and interacting with the young men, particularly on defense, specifically on defensive line, that they motivated him to want to coach in some capacity more than Coach Prime did. I think seeing the spark, the light in their eyes, the questions he was getting from them, ignited something in him that hadn't been ignited since his NFL retirement. Then now you have potentially another Hall of Famer on the coaching staff under the head coach of a Hall of Famer. So a wonderful opportunity for Warren Sapp, a wonderful feather for this program if it happens for recruitment on defense, because that's 2 gold jackets, man, and that's 2 gold jackets they pay for. Me and you went to Men's Warehouse and got ours. They got theirs in Canton. And I ain't talking Canton.
I went to J.C. Penney. I don't know what you're talking about, brother. And I take it personal when people are like, man, why don't you cut the vents out of your coat? Well, I might want to take it back, man. You don't ever know. I'll leave them threads in the back, brother.
Because I saw you Easter Sunday, you still had the label on the sleeve, too.
I got to let them know who it is, man. Look, Surrey is not a fan. Surrey, I don't care.
Sears saying, man, please cut that label off, brothers. Don't leave it on there.
Anything in my closet is liable to go back to the store. Neely, we're going to get into this on the big boys this week, but I definitely want to go position by position and just take a look at those position groups and see what Colorado has, what the prospects are, where there needs to be some shoring up. But one thing I would be curious about is as people debate online, how much better the program is. Was this year a success? You've been around a couple of players that were actually a member of last year's team, the team that did go 1-11. There was a handful of leftover. Well, leftover sounds like such a derogatory word. People who are on that team. And what has been your takeaway from, any conversations you've had with them or just, seeing them operate same school, different regime?
They love it. I think change is complicated and difficult for anyone, particularly drastic change. So they were kind of a deer in headlights just about this time last year through January. But those who chose to stay and stuck around, you look at Michael Harrison, a walk-on wide receiver, converted to tight end, leading the team in receptions and touchdowns and peaks and valleys of this season, becoming that security blanket for Deion Sanders to hit in critical situations. He was a member of this team before and had not experienced winning it at this level or even competing at the level he's able to compete. So he will tell you how much he loves this program and what Coach Prime has done for it. I think going forward, man, I know we're going to deep dive on the big boys with Coach Carl Reed, but people have watched these games because they've been the most watched games in America since week one. Who doesn't know that we have to get much better at the offensive line, not only to protect that asset, a future Heisman hopeful, potential Heisman winner next year in Deion Sanders, but being able to run the ball is 1B and that's 1A, and that's both starting with the offensive line. But on the other side of the ball, defensive line, we have got to get a defensive front that can get more sacks, that can play better ball on their line of scrimmage. So I think those are the areas that are going to be addressed fast and with deep talent in the early days of the portal. But it's not stopping there, Tyler. There's going to be some other additions to this team, in the skill positions as well, particularly on defense at each level. But offensive line, defensive line is absolutely where this team has to get better at. And some of those losses, 4 of those losses, becomes wins if you do.
You're watching The Rewind on the Pregame Show Network. Neely, another thing that was very important to you, it was part of your transition from covering Coach Prime at Jackson State to Colorado, and that was the stories and the success and the journey of the players that came from Jackson State, who came from an FCS, who came from an HBCU. What was your takeaway on this full slate of a full season with the kids who came over from Jackson State?
I think around this time last year, as people were having the notion of who's going to follow Coach Prime to Colorado, the biggest question mark from the naysayers was, well, those guys from the SWAC won't be able to compete at the Power 5 in the Pac-12. And I want to say this about the Pac-12. In its demise this season, you had more teams ranked in the Pac-12 throughout the season than you ever had in the history of that conference. You still have teams in the Pac-12 in the top 10 closing out the season and right there knocking on the door to play in that playoff system. So this has been a strong and competitive conference. And for a Deion Sanders to come to Colorado in his first season, establish a new passing yards single season record while being on his back 50 times, phenomenal. The game he chose to not play in, he was 2 touchdowns away, 1 from tying, 1 from breaking the all-time touchdown single season record. If you look at Travis Hunter and what he has done, in my mind, Travis Hunter is literally the best player in college football this year. The number of plays and the impact plays that he had on both sides of the ball. These are 2 SWAC guys. You look at the flashes that the Savion Wilkerson showed you, and wait till you finally get to see Tyler Brown next year. You look what Cameron Silman Craig did, leading the conference in interceptions at one point. You look at what Shiloh Sanders did right there at the top of the conference, is not leading it in tackles. I think what has been proven is that there's talent in the SWAC at that level, and that talent can play at this level if they had the opportunity to.
All right, you left out one name. We cannot move on from this subject without you saying it, Neely.
What's that? Who's that?
Can't miss.
Alejandro Mata. He can't miss. He doesn't miss. And when he does miss, it ain't his fault. The laces weren't the right way, or somebody let a block in and got him. He doesn't miss, man. He did what he did the other day, his longest on record, 47 yards, man. So he not only can't miss, he can kick it further now.
That's right.
Proving, once again, that you can come from the SWAC, you can come from the FCS, and you can play at the FBS if you have the opportunity and coaching to support it.
Absolutely. Great year for those kids. I was glad to see Savion get a back-to-back carries. I didn't see it, but I was listening. He got his fair share of carries early on in that game, and would love to see him, with some bigger holes and more opportunities. Or it can be tough sledding, running behind maybe not the most consistent offensive line. But great year for those guys.
Absolutely.
And finally here on the Rewind, Neely, how about you, man? Like, some people, you just appeared in their social media world. It was like, oh, here's Coach Prime. Here's this guy, Neely. But just your thoughts on this journey personally from you. I'm sure you can remember the day where you said, hey, let's start this thing called the Pregame Show and see where it goes. And to be where you are now on national TV every week at halftime, as they go to commercial break, there's Neely and Coach Prime. Just what it's been like for you, man.
Hey, man, I wish I could say I planned it, orchestrated it, and it's all going according to plan, but had no idea this was coming. When we started the Pregame Show at Jackson State and had the support of Ashley Robinson, athletic director there, and coaches like, Tamika Reed, women's basketball, who were giving us access. And lo and behold, Deion Sanders landed at Jackson State. And I didn't know that he was watching what we were doing, and called me up one day and said, man, I want you to cover that from the inside. So you're not speculating, but talking from a knowledge base, because I love what you're doing and how you do it. Fast forward 2 years from that, who knew he was going to Colorado, and that opportunity would arise for me as well. So I told him just over a year ago that, hey, man, I'm going to come out there for a visit, see how it is. And I did, liked it. I said, hey, no matter what, Coach, because you've done so much for me, I got you for a year. I'm going to do this thing out here in Colorado with you for 12 months. Well, here we are now approaching 12 months, and I'm going to give them another 12, Tolly, because it's been a wonderful experience to follow these guys from the HBCU level, from the SWAC, FCS level, covering them, to now expanded coverage of just all of Colorado football and the coaches that are here. Been a wonderful opportunity. It's been a blessing, man. Like, the platform has grown. Probably came here with 23,000 followers, and now it's, over 100,000 followers, subscribers. So each one of the social media platforms has grown, and we've now started to add other content to this network. Simone Stanley with What They Saying, the Pregame Show Rewind, the big boys got more stuff coming. Tolly, when I tell you it has been good, it's been good.
All right, Neely, a lot of times I ask questions here that I already know the answer to, but I want to ask you this, because somebody watching, we're coming up on the end of the year. Somebody wants different results in their life for 2024, and they're thinking about making a jump, and they're worried about what people might say, or they're worried about what might happen, what it might turn out to be. They're going through these processes in their head, and they might be defeating themselves before they ever start with whatever it is they would like to do. This wasn't an easy transition for you, at least from the outside. There was a group of people like, oh, Neely, man, you leaving the SWAC, you're leaving HBCUs, you just Coach Prime's boy, yada, yada, yada. What was it hard at all for you?
I don't want to term it as hard. It got interesting. It did have, an impact when you see people that were once supporters or once friends now attacking you because you've decided, and I guess the corner phrase like LeBron, take your talents somewhere else. And let me tell you this, man, for people to say, I'm Deion Sanders' boy, hey, you damn right I'm Deion Sanders' boy, but like boy in the hood, like that's my man. Like I ride with Deion Sanders, he rides with me. I ain't gonna deny my friends in front of nobody or for nobody, and nobody's gonna pick or choose who tell me who my friends are, except my mama and them when I was in kindergarten. Since then, you ain't picking my friends. I pick my friends, and he is a friend. But man, this time last year through that early part of spring, so many negative comments and posts, and we would do a video or interview. But here's what happened, Tolly, and this is the people out there. You just keep going. You bet on yourself and keep believing. Because as the tide starts to turn, and it will, they just get quiet and quiet and quieter and disappear because they see their words are not having an impact on you, and it's not stopping you from growing. We have grown exponentially. There's been nothing but love. We have still kept a great deal of the fan base in the South. Number one cities, Atlanta, Houston, Memphis, Birmingham. Like, we're still doing good things and great numbers in Charlotte and Raleigh. And we just expanded where now you see Denver and Tucson and Tempe in the top cities each month. So what I would say to folks, Tolly, man, if you got a dream, you got a passion, you got a talent, and that all lines up with opportunity, bet on yourself and take it. And don't get caught up in the opinions of strangers and what they may say to you. Follow your own heart, listen to your family, listen to your Lord, and follow that path, man. Bet on yourself. Yeah, it has been a wonderful ride.
And don't listen to Siri either. She's back to her thumbs down shenanigans. And Neely, just because I'm your boy, I'll put your business on Front Street because I believe in the power of the platform, and if we can, help push somebody along, man, somebody, help push us one day. I mean, you're in a position, Neely. I mean, you've been able to quit your job and really dictate how you want to live your life, right?
Well, that was more than somebody talking crap or smack in a YouTube post and got a name like IP Freely or something. If you ain't using, let me tell you this, Tyler. Not only do I not listen to people I don't know, I damn sure listen to somebody who got a screen name like Clap Butt Cheeks 23. What? Who are you and what are you to me? Yes, Tolly. One of the decisions I had to make is I had a nice, comfortable corner office, state government job, feet up, kicking it. Hey, man, when you bet on yourself, you got to go all in. So resign from that over a year ago and bet on myself with the pregame show, and this is what we do now. And so it's not just something where you're out here just kicking it no, this is work, man. This is how we survive. And one thing I always said, the opportunity and blessings that Coach Prime opened up for me, I'd be a fool not to open it up for other people. And that's why you're going to see this platform expand and give that opportunity for people to get them some shining spotlight and grow their thing as well. Because I absolutely believe it's a blessing to be a blessing, and you got to give what you've been getting if you're going to keep on.
Well, I love it, man. I fully support you and your growth, and, we'll always be in your corner, whether it's popular, unpopular, whatever. It doesn't matter because the only thing that matters are the actual genuine relationships that you have with people. So whatever your New Year's goals, whatever your New Year's resolutions are, make sure it's a strong one and stick to it and push through.
And Tyler, let me throw some roses your way, or do like Hakeem and throw some petals for you to walk on, because it would have been easy, popular for Tolly Carr to say, damn, Neely, and just go the opposite direction. But the energy and synergy we created with the pregame show and the HBCU game day, we kept that going, from Colorado in those early days, revamped some things with some newer ideas. You got the pregameshow.com where you can see this content and more in written style with breaking news. Testament to your friendship and your brotherhood that, hey, you're going to give the people what they want, and they tell you what they want by what they click and watch. And so naysayers be damned, Tolly Carr has been there, and I'm proud to say in 2023 and 2024 and beyond, hey, man, that just like y'all say, Neely, Deion boy, hey, that's my boy. I will fight you over Tolly Carr. Say something about it if you want to.
My man. Hey, I got 3 kids, baby. I can't worry about what people think. We got to keep it moving and keep it popping, baby. All day long. That's the case. And look, I think it's been great this year. We've provided, where's my timing here? We provided exposure for HBC. Everything you see on the pregame show with me, you're going to see something HBCU related. You'll see a little Colorado back there. And, whatever, however you feel, that's all good. Yeah. But that's what I just
don't understand why people have this monolithic mindset that you got to be just one thing and one thing only. That, you can't eat at Subway and McDonald's. Like, you guys just eat at Subway every day. Like, I don't understand that thought process, man. I truly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and we have to be about opportunity, particularly opportunity for people who don't typically get opportunity. And that's folks of our hue and women of our hue as well. So first and foremost, we're going to make sure we promote that and give opportunity in those spaces where it's been hard to come by. But we're also going to partner with other folks as well. You see what I'm doing with DNVR based out of Denver with their broadcast. Look, man, we ain't got time to be sitting here worried about what somebody else worried about. We moving forward.
Hey, shout out to, you brought her up, Tamika Reed. They beat, Jackson State women beat St. John's over the weekend.
Yeah, and then Mo beat Mizzou.
Yeah.
So, man, it's gonna be a great. Now, let me tell you this: to all the people out there, when Neely heads back late December, January, I got my Jackson State courtside season tickets. Been the same seats for 20 years. Tyler, used to be 5 of them. Then it went to 4. Then it went to 3. Now it's only 2 because his kids started leaving the house. I ain't buying them no damn ticket. And they ain't going to no games. But you'll see me, man. I can't wait till SWAC season starts. I'll be at those home games in January.
All right, man. Looking forward to it. Absolutely. Hopefully, I'll be calling some more of those SWAC games later in the year as we get closer to the postseason. Well, Neely, I will catch up with you later this week, man. We got to do another episode of the Big Boys, really break down this roster. And heck, by the time me, you, and Carl get together, it might be popping in that transfer portal. We might have some new names to talk about.
It will be, man. So let's tease that right now. What is coming soon? You got the high school visits be coming that first week of December, then the transfer portal guys. And so, like I said, you're going to have those announcements of people leaving first. Those are already started to happen and will continue to happen. But we're going to be reporting on that, a lot of exclusive content on the Pregame Show Network. Don't forget, December 7th is the debut of Coach Prime, the documentary. It's going to be on Prime Video. The first week, 2 episodes drop, and then 1 episode per week every Thursday, leading into the NFL Thursday night game on Prime. So can't miss it. Great association, Coach Prime documentary, then the Thursday night game. And hey, man, we're going to be closing out the year doing some coverage of kind of, hey, what'd you think about that episode? Me and Tyler Carr, part of Rewind, we're looking at each episode of the documentary. And hey, man, it's New Year time then, baby.
Absolutely. And if you want to catch your boy, about 3 seconds of fame, go back and watch season 1. I'm pretty sure I'm not in season 2, but I did.
I don't know, Tolly.
I don't think I made season 2, but I was happy for my little few seconds of fame in season 1. All right, man. Well, safe travels. I know you'll be headed home soon before the year is out. And, man, looking forward to talking to you and Coach Carl later this week and then getting together on that documentary real soon.
Let's do it, brother. Peace and blessings to you, man.